Captain's log, stardate 1927.5. Mr. Spock's sophisticated crystals have turned out to be living things, and we are now being marched to their underground civilization.
Great sunspots! It's like somebody's idea of paradise. Well spoken. We have achieved a level of perfection here. We are without want, without fear.
Then why do you walk around with that weapon, Izor? What do you protect yourself against in paradise?
Would you look at that? He's handing her a bowl of fire, and she likes it.
He told us they fed on light. Her boyfriend's bought her a 7-layer cake.
Wrong. It was some dog food he brought home. Sorry if that spoils your romantic notion, Doctor. Where are you taking us?
To see the president. Only he can deal with death penalty crimes.
So these are the kidnappers. Finally, we've caught those who prey on our defenseless young.
Defenseless? One of them gave me a headache like nothing but a pile driver could. We are innocent, Mr. President, please. Let me explain.
Suddenly, Captain Kirk outlines the peaceful purposes of their expedition.
A most interesting explanation, Captain, but it is still a lie.
A lie is it? I don't care if you are the president. You're a fool if you can't see we're telling the truth.
If you were one of my own people, I could. We could read each other's minds, but you come from a complicated and crafty culture. We don't understand half of your thoughts with their technical preferences. But I am satisfied of your guilt, and for it, you must die. Guards, imprison them.
3 guards under Izor's command marched them to a strange prison.
A prison without bars.
It's actually a library. We have no crime, hence no prisons. But you will be well guarded until...
What are these books for?
Poetry, romances, books of travel. We have no scientific texts here. Our world does well without science and its so-called progress.
Why do you feel that way about science, Izor?
What need have we of it? The purpose of science is to make beings better, understand one another. My people are born with such understanding. I go now, but the building is well guarded. Do not hurry your moment of death by trying to escape.
Imagine being locked and condemned on a planet of crazy poets and harp players. Take it easy, Scotty. You see, I took one slight precaution.
Meanwhile, on the surface, the captain missed 2 scheduled radio contacts with the ship. Best to have a look around. But where to begin? No footprints on this rocky. A homing beam from the captain. That will lead me to them. Quickly, Spock chases down the source of the signal. The captain dropped his communicator here. Apparently something jammed its signal to the ship, but not to the planet's surface. Which still does not tell me where they've gone. There are some of the unusual crystal formations our spectral analysis indicated odd. How separate and individual they are. Meanwhile, at the point not far below where Mr. Spock is standing,
No, it is not the moment of execution, but I thought you might want to observe something through our surface viewers.
Periscopes, eh? Observe what? Somebody's up there. One of our crew. Yes, it's Mr. Spock. He's approaching one of the crystals. No, don't stare into that thing, man. Overexposure is deadly. Get away from there. What's the use? He can't hear me. He's still staring straight into the crystal, but...
It does not seem to affect him. Strange. I must focus in on the crystal myself. See what he sees. But the crystal is not probing his emotional weaknesses. All I see are some strange patterns.
Of course, geometric patterns. That's all the crystal probe can find in Mr. Spock's head. Ha ha.
Sure, Vulcans have no emotions. Ha ha ha. I told you that Spock is practically a crystal himself. Ha ha ha. That is of no consequences. Guards have been dispatched to bring him to me. He will share your fate this day.
Tense moments later, what happened here, Captain? This guard spoke of a kidnapping and planned execution.
That crystal you were looking at is an infant form of these people. They thought we came to steal some. It's been done before.
Swiftly, Captain Kirk fills the Vulcan in on the details. But why don't you just probe my mind, my friend's mind, as the crystals did before? You'll see their innocence.
We haven't such power of clarity. Our infants do until they are old enough to walk. Then it weakens quickly. We have talked too long. You will now be killed, and your body is left on the surfaces as a warning to my president, the soldier alarm.
Marauding soldier gasp! Broke through outer defenses, a choke! Headed for city center!
The home guard, activate them at once. It must be driven out before others follow it.
But before the armed sentry can be fully alerted,
Ah! Flaming Lakes of Orion! It's a dragon, almost. Only St. George himself never saw the dragon of likes of a dragon like that.
finally, as the shattered defense forces regroup,
Together now, let's let them fly when I say fly.
more annoyed than wounded, the crystal dragon turns and lumbers back to its dark regions.
He's gone. But that kind of attack won't hold him off for long.
I don't understand why they didn't fire their natural laser beams at it.
Because such energy beams have not affected the Slodra for centuries. Our crystals compress the light energy, but the focusing of each bolt is done by thoughts. And with time, the Slodra have learned to resist every thought.
Motioning Kirk to one side, Mr. Spock unfolds a plan. The Cylindra have built a kind of natural immunity to the thought bolts of the crystal people, as we do to bacteria, but
We of other worlds, we've got a billion thoughts the Slodra never encountered. Foreign germs, that is. We can prove our true intentions now, Mr. President, if we teach you how to kill the Slodra.
If you could but give us such a weapon, we would free you. But it is the Slodra who will do the killing, I fear. How the devil do you expect to pull this off? The crystal people can concentrate light, but we have only alien thoughts.
The trick is to combine the two at the crucial moment.
we must use one of the babies, of course. It has the full power of mind probing that the adults lose.
Right. A thought cast into the crystal at the moment of the Slodra's attack will be projected as a killer beam.
Quickly, one of the infants is brought from the surface.
We'll track the beast together, but you will do the thoughts, focusing in a world that knows no science. That technological head of yours is a veritable arsenal.
The guards escort them to the city limits, and then the perilous journey into dark regions.
Grab yourself a good thought, Spock. Some real double-doomed kind of notion that would even knock me for a loop.
I'm afraid it'll have to be a lot more powerful than that, Mr. Scott.
Ooh.
Suddenly and without warning, it's always suddenly and without warning.
Speak of the Slytherin devil.
Yeah!
That was a close one. Get going, Spock. Start throwing some of that egg-headed thinking at the beast.
I've cast a thought into the crystal. Einstein's famous relationship between matter and energy. But the baby isn't firing at the Slodra.
What are you doing, Spock? Keep your distance, man.
That would be useless. The crystal won't fire until it feels fully endangered. I must move it into danger. At Spock's approach, the Slodra wheels into position and... Then the very second the crystal dragon attacks... The first blow sends the giant beast reeling, and Mr. Spock instantly projects another thought. The simplest of chemical formulas, that for sulfuric acid. The theory behind rocket propulsion. For every action, there is an equal opposite reaction. And shortly...
You have done well, but you said you would show us how to destroy the Slodra ourselves. How can we, unless you leave your mind with us?
Not his mind, but these science textbooks and papers. Enough to teach you the basic principles that will set you free forever.
Thank you, friends. Perhaps we have lived too long in our simple paradise. Good luck.
But then you feel a little pang about ending the innocent paradise of theirs.
Not at all. I see no charm in a world that tries to destroy killer dragons with bolts of poetry and music, Captain. Alright, and that's the end. Let me know if you want to check out this other story, A Bomb in Time. I'm going to recap. This is Whitman's Dynabrite Comics. Reprint, originally 1978. I got a couple other Star Trek comics here. You want to check out? I have Foes and Friends by Mark W. Barr. And I have Star Trek V, the movie special comic. And in this comic, at the end of the movie, or at the end of the comic, they have them fighting the rock monster, like the original script in the movie, but they didn't have the budget to do. Alright, everybody. You know the drill. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good one. All that YouTube stuff. And until next time, I'll see you in the back issues.